on. Hey, bright side, this will probably be a two-parter, so thank you for getting my work out of the way. Do you want to shift over to last week with the Golden Globes? I didn't watch it, but I assume you did.
No, I actually did not. The Golden Globes is hard for me to care about.
Is it harder now with there not being, like, with the Oscars, probably I would assume a very shallow Oscar class?
That, and just, like, because the Oscars haven't even announced their nominations, because the Golden Globes has always been kind of like
the TV movie side of things, more so movies.
But usually also like a preamble to the Oscars to see what's probably going to win the Oscars, because a lot of the times it's the same thing that the Golden Globes did. Not 100% of the time, but most of the time. But because the Golden Globes haven't even announced like their nominations, it's a little hard to kind of give a shit. Sorry, because the Oscars haven't announced that, it's a little hard to actually care.
I mean, well, here's what's funny. Borat won an award.
Which is crazy. I don't think the Academy would do that, but I could be wrong.
This isn't me getting political, but I think it's because in the last 4 years, is it fair to say that comedy, in a lot of ways, has become, how do we find the lowest bearing fruit? And for the last 4 years, it was Donald Trump and anyone associated with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Because of how low that hanging fruit is, and how easy it is to make fun of it, that any comedy that wanted to be like the shock value, it's easier to make the joke be that than to get an actual joke. And have you seen Borat 2?
I have not, but I'm not really interested. One thing I remember...
I watched it the day it dropped, and it lost me very quickly.
Really?
And here's why it lost me. The joke. So you know how the first one was funny because it was Sacha Baron Cohen. The genius of Sacha Baron Cohen has always been he can play the character really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a lame method acting.
Right.
But in this one, what he was trying to do was Borat disguised as the stereotypical conservative.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. So I think I'm spoiled because of South Park. Do you remember the episode of South Park where I think it was called Crack Baby Basketball was the episode?
I don't remember the episode name, but I might remember the episode itself.
So this episode was brilliant because at one point Trey Parker had to do the Cartman voice, but with a Southern drawl.
Okay.
And it was really hard, but he did it. And he kept it leveled, so it was clearly Cartman doing a Southern accent.
Right.
Now, keep that in mind when I say, at part of this film, Borat dressed up as Donald Trump at one point. But it turned into Sacha Baron Cohen doing a very bad Trump impression instead of Sacha Baron Cohen being Borat doing a poor Donald Trump impression.
I see. So
that part of, I'm supposed to... You know that whole part of, like, I'm supposed to suspend the disbelief that Borat isn't a fake person, that he's a real person?
Right.
Like, that thing was taken away the minute it wasn't Borat doing this.
Mm. Oh.
I think you cut out.
Okay, I mean, it makes sense. It's probably, it takes you out of the film a little bit. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment too much on it.
It was a lot of the same, like, gross humor, but there were portions where it was just like, it's taking me out because it's like, that's just Sacha Baron Cohen. That's not Borat doing this. It's clearly Sacha Baron Cohen doing it.
Right. So you're kind of piercing the veil a little bit.
It's almost, it's like that fourth wall being broken.
Right.
But it's like everyone looked past it because of who the punchline was, and I'm just like, so we're now allowing poor comedy to be good comedy because of who the target is. And I'm like, this is dumb.
What would you rate the film overall?
Like 2.
Out of 10?
Out of 10.
Damn.
It wasn't good.
All right.
Like, and also, too, it's Borat, and I don't think, like, if I watch Borat today, I don't think I'd find it hilarious. Like, I think I'd find it more funny because the entire joke of Borat, the first one, is he wants to marry Pamela Anderson.
Mm.
Like, I think that's funnier overall.
Would you say it probably is coming from the era where the Jackass films were some of the highest commercial successes of the time?
I think, yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with like the people who watched it.
That kind of movie you don't think would do well these days?
Well, how much of it too is like think about last year with like culture and stuff,
right?
Where it's, you know, like do you think Borat would have been made today? Like Borat, Bruno, and I forget the other one. Was there another one he did? I can't think of. I think
The Dictator.
Dictator.
Yeah.
Like with those films he made today, like probably not.
I think that they would be different, but I don't think those movies would be like off. I mean, Borat 2 was made today.
Yeah, but it was. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, there's definitely always going to be a, sort of like an off-color. There's always going to be a want for off-color comedy. Things that push the envelope, and the envelope's going to change over time, just the way things are. It wasn't that long ago that pushing the envelope was having like a black person and a white person putting their feet in a small pool together.
You're right in that trend.
There's always going to be different things to kind of push against, and I think right now you tend to want to push against establishment things. And at the time that Borat 2 was made, the Republican Party and those ideals were had become establishment. So you would expect those things to be poked fun of more often than. Again, I have not seen the original, so I wouldn't be able to super duper talk about what happens. That's the problem, is I'm kind of projecting what I think the movie might be about, and I could totally be wrong about that.
Maybe you're right. Maybe it is just like it's the whole maybe it is just as simple as like, oh, the establishment's Trump, and what's the easiest thing that everyone's made fun of for years? It's the establishment,
right?
Maybe you're 100% right, and it is that, and it's just because I hear it.
Comedy's always been about
getting beat over the head with the same joke for 4 years. I guess kind of ruins the punchline after a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think pretty much.
I don't know.
I have a feeling every joke that could have been made about Donald Trump has already been made, at least until
it was made before he was president, though.
I mean, there was things he did as president that would constitute different types of jokes. The Covfefe thing was a joke.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was rife with comedy material.
I think nothing made me laugh more than like him taking himself too seriously. Or if he just sort of sat back and just sort of laughed, I think he would have been more likable.
I think my favorite Donald Trump moment was definitely when he released a health report claiming that he was the healthiest person to ever take the office of the president of the United States. Because I was so it's something that nobody was it's not even controversial. No, you're not. The last guy could, I'm sorry, but Barack Obama could beat him in a foot race. It's just the way it is.
I think that's what's so funny is it's was he healthy? Sure. I guess in a way, yes. I guess medically speaking, yeah, you're healthy. Are you a little pudgy in the middle? Yeah, but who isn't pudgy in the middle these days? Hey, everyone's got man boobs. It's a natural facet of life, dude. You're 70-something years old.
Yeah. But to claim that he is the healthiest man to ever take, Barack Obama worked out,
Okay, hold on. This is going to be slightly a little bit of a joke, but I guess in terms of cholesterol, maybe Donald Trump has Obama beat. Maybe. Just maybe. Now, in terms of who am I taking one-on-one, it ain't going to be Trump.
If you were to line up every president on the day that they were inaugurated for their first term and have them run 100 yards, Donald Trump would definitely be in the lower 20%.
Hold on. You're basically saying line up a bunch of old white guys against one black guy. Who's going to win that foot race?
Now, hold on. Some of those old white guys back in the day, I mean, they were hunting on the weekends, and then they would fish on the...
Okay, yeah, but what's the median average of presidents, it's got to be in their late 60s, right?
I would say Woodrow Wilson is probably the average president in terms of bodies.
Woodrow Wilson got stuck in a bathtub.
No, you're thinking of Garfield.
Garfield got stuck in a bathtub.
Garfield, I definitely have only beating maybe FDR.
Because he doesn't have legs.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, I think the whole thing with Trump was Trump took himself so seriously that it was like everything he said about himself, you clearly know he was lying to only impress himself.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would look at Donald Trump and actually picture him as the healthiest. And it's fine. Like nobody who voted for him voted on because he was so healthy and strong. Like nobody's asking you to be this thing.
You're absolutely right. Like, I don't understand why he said the things he did. Like, the fitness was by far the funniest thing ever.
Watch any video of, like, Trump supporters talking about why they love Donald Trump. None of them, I've never seen one say because he's jacked.
No. A lot of it's like it's like, a lot of other reasons.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's more like just anything political these days, but it's more, I will admit, I think he said some very weird things that were just funny.
I'd probably put Teddy Roosevelt or JFK at the front of an Iron Man competition between all presidents.
I think I'd be hard pressed to bet against Teddy because that man literally like. But
remember this: JFK was a swimmer.
No, I know.
And I don't know if Teddy Roosevelt was a swimmer.
I don't think Teddy Roosevelt. Who was younger? JFK is the youngest president.
I have a feeling JFK was the youngest.
So, I mean, in terms of age, I would guess JFK would have to win and just be like by how much he would beat Teddy by. Because JFK was like former military.
Yeah, he was a tough man.
Yeah, I was like Teddy Roosevelt was similar, but Teddy Roosevelt was also like the definition of would basically be a Ron Swanson today, where it's like I think it'd be close, but it would come down to like who wins the archery games.
I have a feeling that there'd definitely be like a dark horse that wins the whole thing, like Zachary Taylor.
Yeah, exactly. Or somehow or another, like Ronald Reagan, like unleashes some sort of like weird Hulk energy that he like has buried deep down.
I'll allow there being two Garfields, one for since his terms were non-consecutive.
There you go.
And I think for sure the first term Garfield beats second term Garfield. I'm just going to throw that guess out there. I'd put my money on that.
There you go. But so segueing back to movies, is there any film, like if you had to guess kind of like, Oscars, do you look at like anything you think that's going to win? Not in a normal year that would win. Like I've heard a lot of like Sound of Metal will probably win.
I recently watched Nomadland and Minari in Minari in a double feature and a wonderful little drive-in theater.
What a nice date night.
It was very nice. We were. What was cool was I went to the snack bar and bought a reasonably priced $3 coffee. Went back to my car.
Comes back to coffee.
Coffee with Spects, dude. Came back to the car and promptly forgot that I had purchased this coffee until after the film had ended and the coffee was undrinkable.
Was it just cold?
Cold, and it wasn't the best coffee in the world in the first place. No one wants cold Folgers.
Unless you're into that kind of thing.
True. I would say Nomadland. It definitely feels like an Oscar movie. Minari, I think, I hate to say it, but I think a lot of people are going to probably... Minari is a good movie about a Korean family dealing with the hardships of moving to rural Kansas in the 80s.
That sounds fun.
Surprisingly little racism against them in the film. It's actually mostly about
being in the middle of the Midwestern Kansas.
Yeah, actually, most people are very welcoming of them. Their biggest problem in the film is actually crop yield, believe it or not. And just like
corn, despite corn being the shag carpet of America, I feel like it runs into its occasional problems in tornado country.
It was an excellent film. personally, I would probably put that as my. I'm looking now, and it looks like that was not even nominated for Best Picture Drama, which doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't be incredibly surprised to find out that because Parasite had won last year, that maybe they're going to try and take a. That's the problem, is that we're not looking at this. You kind of have to look at the. And I will say that Minari is not as good of a film as Parasite, and that's because Parasite's just a great movie. First off, I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's a very high quality film. I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who, at the very least, hated it.
I think people disliked it. I think a lot of people disliked it,
for I think weird reasons. Yeah, because they're like, why did this beat my Vroom Vroom movie about Fords?
I mean, Ford versus Ferrari wasn't bad.
It wasn't best picture quality, in my opinion.
It wasn't great.
I was surprised it was nominated at all.
I think that's because of the story. More so than anything.
I mean, they were going to win.
Yeah, I mean, no, I didn't go and Ford versus Ferrari.
They don't make that movie just to have Ferrari win anyways,
No, I mean, the whole thing with Ford versus Ferrari is I'm like, it could be the dark horse, and the only reason I said it could be the dark horse was literally because it's hard for a foreign film to win.
Right.
That was the only reason.
And it's not the first time. It's not the first time a foreign film has, at the very least, come close to winning, but it was definitely it was definitely worth it.
Well, think about it, how Brokeback Mountain won Best Picture, but did anyone really think Brokeback Mountain was going to win Best Picture?
Probably not. I mean, I was a wee lad in elementary school at the time, so I wasn't really the.
But I mean, you know what I'm trying. But I'm saying, think about it like that. If something like that got made, you would probably say, yeah, it has a shot at winning. But back then, would you have really been like, yeah, it'll win? Probably not.
Right. I mean, most people probably think that sort of thing would be not in the running. As for this year, unfortunately, between Nomadland and Minari, I don't think I've seen any of the, I'd love to watch these movies. The Trial of it looks like the movies that were nominated for Golden Globe Awards was The Father, which admittedly I haven't heard of until about 2 minutes ago. Mank, which I have been told by several people is incredible, and I'd love to watch it. It's on Netflix. I'm just a lazy piece of shit who can't get around to watching a movie. Promising Young Woman looked very fantastic. I could definitely see why that would be nominated, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was nominated for Oscars. Trial of the Chicago 7 looks like it's probably going to be nominated as well. All right, well, I'm glad to hear it was good. I'm definitely going to want to check that out, especially last year I had I was lucky enough to actually see every film nominated for Best Picture, which was a very interesting. It made me feel more engaged in the award ceremony overall, and be able to kind of form a better opinion. I also watched everything for Best Animated Feature, which was quite fun. This year, I don't know. I mean, we all know Trolls World Tour is going to be at least nominated and then lose to Soul.
Yeah, Soul's got it. If Soul didn't win, I'd be happy.
It's probably going to be either Soul as my safe bet, and then the one that I would like to see. It'd be great to see Wolfwalkers win, just because I love that animation company whose name I'm forgetting on at the moment, but I'm looking it up right now because the name is Cartoon Saloon, and they've made some really great stuff. And it wouldn't be their first Oscar nomination. But unfortunately, just knowing the Academy and how they vote, especially for animated films, it's probably going to be Soul. They tend to stick with the big boys.
It's so hard to vote against Disney and Pixar when they put their.
Well, another thing,
when they work.
One thing to remember is, there's nobody making sure that the Academy watches all these movies, and the reason,
especially in a year like this, I know they get the screening stuff, but I know how many directors kind of complain about you need to watch this on a big screen.
Sure, and then
and throw the whole if it's streamed, it's not a real movie.
No, that's ridiculous. I watched most of these movies streamed, and I had a great time. I do miss going to the theater as an experience, but you don't need that. And anybody who says you do is kind of, it's the kinds of people who say, I don't watch movies, I watch films.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm gonna turn you onto a podcast, and I'm gonna tell you this. Bear with me when I say this, but the guy watches a movie a day, and I think he reviews a movie a day on his podcast, and it's called Nothing Personal with David Sampson. And I believe he watches a movie a day, and I believe he reviews a movie every time he does his podcast.
Damn.
But mainly it's a sports thing. Like, he does do a movie review every time, and he's a cinephile, and he loves like whenever he talks movies, he knows what he's talking about.
All right.
And I mean, I think it's the back half of this podcast, but you don't have to listen to sports stuff if you don't want to.
Yeah, I'm looking. We discussed the film Aliens, Wedding Planning, Living in Simulations, and much more. Yeah, I think I found it. With Chris, Nathan, and Louie.
Wait, what?
Chris, Nathan, and Louie?
No, I didn't hear it. What would you look at?
Oh, the Nothing Personal podcast.
Yeah.
That's it? All right. I'll give it a shot.
I'll send it. I can actually send it to you. Hold on.
Oh, I think I found it on Spotify.
Nothing Personal with David Sampson. It should be the first.
Oh, with David Sampson. All right, let me double check that.
Yeah.
Actually, no, not with David Sampson. Let's see. Oh, there it is.
It's a sport. Yeah, it's a sports podcast, but I believe he talks about a movie a day.
All right, I'll take it. I'll look into it.
Oh, that's why. Okay, and I just realized something that I didn't realize until right now.
What's that?
There was a story about an age Albert Pujols being older than he was because David Sampson brought it up on a podcast, a radio show that was a radio show on ESPN, but now it's just a podcast.
Okay.
And he brought it up on the 25th of February, but writers only wrote about it like within the last few days. And I noticed that he talked about it on his podcast on Thursday.
Oh boy.
So I was like, oh, that explains that, but it's still really weird that they waited that long to be like, is Albert Pujols really not 41 years
old? The poor guy, he's just trying to man living in the society that he has to. I'm sure it's not a big deal. It really shouldn't be a big deal, but oh well.
One, it's not a big deal, and two, if it really was, it wouldn't surprise anybody.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Faking your age out of the Dominican at that time in baseball wasn't any sort of like. I don't know if you can hear it, but my grinder's going off.
Oh yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, we're freshly grinding our Major Dixon's one for the morning.
Very nice.
But it's not odd for them to they're always a few years younger. So more than likely, is he probably 43? Yeah, does it really matter at the end of the day? Not really.
Can he hit the ball good?
Debatable.
Well, I mean, that's what he should be judged on. Can he play good ball?
Debatable, but I mean, it's one of those weird things where is it really going to change anything at the end of the day? Not really.
Probably not.
If anything, it just says, wow, if he actually came into the league at 20 something years old, wow, he would have been a hell of a lot better.
It's very impressive.
That's about all it really says. So I think he reviews a movie day on there, but I think it's towards the end of it.
That's interesting.
He as much as he's a sports guy, he really does know his film stuff, and he's very much he watches documentaries, he watches all of these films, and it's really interesting to hear his take on these things.
I'll look into it. Skim to the end where he gets done talking about baseball.
It's not. I mean, he talks about sports, but a lot of it's even stuff I find boring.
Okay.
I don't care about contracts and stuff.
A lot of shop talk.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff he says that I think's interesting, but if I actually thought about it, I'm yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's just whatever.
A lot of weird things where it's oh, you mean the team that's notoriously cheap likes to pay players for what they did last season as opposed to what they'll do in the future? You don't say.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I'll look into it. It looks interesting. For the Oscars this year, it's going to be weird. There's a lot of front runners. I have a feeling it's probably going to be Minari will be nominated. Nomadland will be nominated. Probably everything that was nominated for the Golden Globes, save for maybe The Father, I have a feeling is going to be nominated. So that gives us what? Nomadland, Minari, Mank, Promising Young Woman, Trial of the Chicago 7, probably Soul. What else is it here? Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, I heard was very good, so that's probably going to get. Sound of Metal sounds like a movie that's going to be nominated.
So, you know what's weird? I'm looking at the official Oscar website.
Mm-hmm.
You know when voting, apparently voting just started.
Oh, yeah. For the nominations or for the
voting
winners?
Started, yeah. So voting, nomination voting started Friday.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's crazy.
It's a very interesting process. I'd love to be part of the Academy one day and get to throw a vote in. It'd be very interesting. I'd love to see more non-Disney animated films win the best animation.
It looks like we sort of know who they're looking at. It looks
yeah, there's like a short list.
Jingle, wait, what? What is this? What am I looking at? Oh, short list announcements. Okay.
Short list.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Let's see. You got animated film. Oh, short film. Burrow was very good. I would. Out was good, but I think Burrow would probably beat it. Those are the only two I saw in there. Visual effects. Birds of Prey had good visual effects, I suppose. Have not seen any. Oh, Soul. It's always weird giving an animated movie a visual effects Oscar.
But I mean,
I understand why. It's just it feels wrong because it's not what I think of when I think of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's that. Have you seen I know I'm switching the subject. We're bouncing between medium. Have you seen WandaVision?
No, I've not.
If you get the chance to watch it, I think you'd really enjoy it.
I've heard it's good, and I've heard that you don't need to be a big Marvel person in the first place to watch it, which makes me more interested in watching it, but at the same time, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say it's excellent.
I think you'd enjoy it in the sense of, since you're, because you like the filming thing, the way they did every episode up until the last, really the season finale.
Yeah.
They sort of did it in eras. So, you kind of went, you had,
your 50s sitcom
episode.
Right.
Yeah, you had your evolution of the sitcom.
Yeah.
Where it went from, the Dick Van Dyke Show to, I Love Lucy to, your...
Family Matters.
Yeah, Family Matters, they had... The only one I realized was they had a Malcolm in the Middle, style open.
Oh, that's fun.
Which was great, because, I love Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
Malcolm in the Middle's a great show. And, they kind of, as, the thing went on, it was oh, they're doing that, they're doing that. They did, the whole, Office, Modern Family thing, where it's, the impromptu, we're talking to the camera sort of thing.
Interesting. I might check it out. I have a Disney Plus subscription, and...
So, in terms of, that, I think you'll get something out of it. Not so much a superhero thing.
Right.
But I think, at least you want to be hey, that's homage to this, that's homage to that.
Right.
A lot of those things, those intricacies are always cool.
Oh, yeah. Any attention to detail is always fun.
And having something like that where it's clearly, there's the homage to, old Hollywood, which I know, gets a lot of people into.
That's an interesting subject.
Others. Looking at you, brothers over there.
Brothers?
I can't. That stupid. What was it? Hail Caesar movie?
Oh, Coen Brothers.
Coen, was it?
Yeah.
The Coen Brothers?
It was.
I still was gonna say Coen Brothers, but I'm I don't want to be wrong.
Right. No, it was definitely the Coen Brothers.
That movie is still the weirdest film I've seen in a while.
I enjoyed it, but yeah, I wouldn't go out of my way for it.
It was such a homage to old Hollywood.
Oh, it's definitely. I think Tarantino basically did what they wanted to do with. It felt very much like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was Hail Caesar done correctly.
Yeah, minus the foot fetish, of course.
Yeah, boy, oh boy, that foot fetish stuff was so blatant to an uncomfortable extent.
I haven't seen it yet, and I keep meaning to. And every time I like get around to it, all I hear is like, God, you could clearly tell he wasn't even trying to hide it anymore.
No, he was not. There's entire shots where Margot Robbie puts her feet up in a movie theater so that half the screen is taken up by her feet and the other half is taken up by the rest of her body.
Like I remember, I think I read something somewhere where like they actually counted the minutes, and it was like a good 45 minutes of that.
Red Letter Media had a great bit they did about it where somebody asked, they said, was this movie shot on film? And he said, yeah, Tarantino actually shot this on film. He's one of the few directors still shooting on film. And then the other guy said, oh, that's really cool. How many feet do you think he shot?
Ah, God, I hate them. Oh, I hate them so much.
It's a very clever bit. I enjoyed it a lot. Tarantino's definitely somebody who could take a joke. I'm sure he's using those millions of dollars he makes to wipe his tears away every night.
And massage his feet with, I'm sure.
And then pay for feet pics online from women in Asia.
Hey, man, you do you, buddy.
You know, whatever makes you not want to go to your supermarket and plow your car through the front.
Yeah, there you go. Just don't make it obvious. Like, is that the number one rule? Like, it doesn't matter if you have it. Just don't make it obvious.
Just dedicate a room to it. Close the door when you're going for it.
Yeah, you know,
it's not hard.
Just make sure when you put the file on your computer that it doesn't say fun stuff.
Exactly. Have it say like you know, Target Ottoman manufacturer warranty information 2020 2019 to 2020.
That sounds so awful.
But it's a very specific thing that nobody would ever want to open.
You're 100% right on that one.
If you're digging around on my computer and you saw that, you'd be like, yeah, whatever.
All right. So do you want to talk about the stuff we've done, or do we want to continue going down whatever weird rabbit hole we were going down?
I'm down to talk about things that I'm more familiar with.
All right, so I guess I'll set this up. When we were in college, we had our amateur horror long-running. Is it horror or was it just suspense? I don't think it was very scary.
Boy, at the time I would have told you it was terrifying, but these days you're probably right.
It was suspense, and you know what's funny? And I'm not saying this in the sense of I was involved, and I'm looking back at it with a weird lens. I actually think the concept is really, really good. I think it was our lack of knowing what we were doing that made it bad.
Oh, sure. Yeah, 100%. It was all one word, right? I'm trying to find the...
Oh, God. I found it, yes. I had to go through Facebook to find it.
Really? I'm going to put in Holloway Project one word. There's something... Yeah, it has to include that, please. Wow, I'm only getting Russian websites.
I'm going to look at it. I guess I found it on going through Facebook.
Really? Alright, let me see.
Yeah.
Holloway Project.
Because we have the page we use.
Right. I'm gonna put in Zach. See if that does anything. Oh, damn. It is hidden.
We're gonna find it. I think I had to go through. We're doing this fast. I'm not gonna get rid of this. It was like pages or something. Was it groups? Shoot. What was it? Was it groups? No. Likes. Okay, hold on. I might be onto something here. Why is this so hard? What?
Suppose I can go to my Facebook and see if I can find it there.
I found it through Facebook. That's where I got the thing.
Pages. Oh, right. There we go.
Oh, I found it. Oh, we put it as a movie. That might have been it.
There we go. All right. So it looks like approximately 8.5 years later, this one video has managed to get 142 views, 1 like and 1 dislike.
Who disliked it? Oh, wait. You're on the original? Like the first one?
No, I'm on the, it was the box. Damn, 7 years ago. Makes you think.
You missed that hairline?
Oh, 100%. I'd kill for that hairline these days. Kill for that waistline, too, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I feel it. I feel it 100%.
Let's see.
I still have that flannel, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I only wear it around the house, but I still have it.
0 comments. Nothing to say.
You know what's so weird? And I'm looking through this, and so for those, I guess I should explain this concept. So this concept was that 2 roommates, one got
Who lived in an unreasonably large house.
Yeah, who lived? Yes, who lived in an unreasonably large home.
Unreasonably large suburban home.
I mean, it's not on the and realistically too on top of it. Well, I guess we're looking too much into this.
I mean, this is the it's part of the filmmaking process.
Yeah, ignore the fact that I'm pretty sure in one of those shots you see the giant big screen TV that was in the house.
We had to scrape and scrounge for that.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, it is what it is. We did what we could at the time, using what was available to us.
And so apart from all that aside, your character got essentially a chain letter.
Yes. Looking back, I think the original idea was that there was something in my family bloodline where I'd owed some.
Much in our mythos.
This is looking back. I don't know how much of this was invented after the words in my own brain, but the way I remember it is the general idea was that I owed some sort of blood debt to some sort of cult that particularly resolved around some sort of demon character who manifested as a black figure with a red tie, and that definitely not Slenderman, definitely a carbon copy ripoff of Marble Hornets with our own little. Carbon copy is not fair, but definitely heavily influenced by the Marble Hornets and Tribe 12 style of filmmaking. It was definitely, and the idea was that it had somehow come time for me to pay this blood debt, or it was something that my character had been on and off dealing with for years, but kept hidden from my roommate. Boy, what was your character's name? Was your character's name Zach?
No, you were Zach.
What was your name?
Nathan?
That sounds right. Let's see. Zach's room. Oh, yeah, it was Nathan. Because there's a video called Nathan's Ultimatum. And essentially, there was this cult.
Jesus Christ. There was a video where you're wearing our senior class shirt.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Number 14, The Return.
We never thought this through, did we?
No, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of issues that if I were to remake it, I would definitely fix.
So there was one video we filmed that actually legitimately freaked the shit out of me. And which one do you think that was?
Let me think. Was it Blackout?
No.
Okay.
Blackout was my favorite to film.
That one was fun. I feel like that was when our creative juices were at its apex for the series.
No, it was Zach's video because we had to drive up that one road with like nothing on
Oh, that's right.
in the middle of the night.
That's
It
right.
was like
And I had us each walk around like in the dark with the camera for a bit.
no that. So I think the way we filmed that video is there was this stretch where we had. So what we wanted to do was we wanted the illusion that he was driving to a site,
Right.
and because of how Chino Hill, damn it,
Did you not mean to? Did you not mean to dox yourself there?
not really, but where we were doing most of this filming is there's not a lot of like abandonedness except for one street that was on horse property.
It's an area that
It was
20 years prior had been fairly rural, but was quickly becoming suburbanized at the time that we were making the video.
Yeah. And this one side of the road was basically all equestrian area on both sides, so it had one narrow road that just went all the way through.
Right.
No lighting up like off property. So we had to go up that street at like 8 o'clock at night, but then we had to come back around it and do another portion at the entrance to a park. So it was a little wonky, but driving through that completely silent, holding my small little, I have this camera still, that little Canon. I still have it, like filming on that.
Right. Yeah, we were using your DSLR at the time.
I mean, no, it wasn't even a DSLR. It was literally a Canon PowerShot.
Oh, and that's right. And then eventually, I got a some sort of Sony handheld camera.
You got a Sony handheld, and then when you had to go to school, you did a camera test. You said I have to switch your DSLR.
Yeah, because that camera was just not cutting it.
And I think we use a DSLR for the latter half.
Yes, yeah, that sounds correct. So yeah, that one was so. Back to the general idea was that my character had a roommate named Nathan. Nathan was a budding filmmaker slash vlog guy who was definitely at the very least a AV. He was an AV enthusiast.
Yeah, I think the big issue, one of the weird things, this might have been towards the latter half because things outside of it kind of got in the way. But the big thing we didn't really do was we didn't really establish anything outside.
Yeah.
Of it, like it was very very centralized. So we didn't pull a lot in from apart from it.
Right.
Which I guess looking back on it was a very poor choice.
Yeah. It is what it is. Nobody starts out amazing.
I mean, for what it was and what we were doing, I don't think it was bad.
No.
But I think looking back on it, saying, "Oh, the concept is great," but how do you go that extra step? Oh, I got it. You don't actually.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 2020. So just to give a quick brief overview, my character Zach, from the cult, who I guess praises this sort of demon to which I owed some sort of blood sacrifice to, and my time had come, begins receiving messages either through the mail or in the form of some sort of yes, they're letting me know that through cryptic messages that my time has come, and that supernatural forces are now at play, and that my blood sacrifice will be coming to an end, and that Brandon's character Nathan, it's implied he's some sort of audiovisual enthusiast. At the very least, who knows his way around cameras, audio equipment, things like that, decides that he is going to document these weird happenings happening between him and his roommate, not knowing the full extent of the history that Zach is withholding from him, which culminates in several close calls with this demon cult. At one point, my character, Zach, goes missing and is seemingly brainwashed into not understanding where he is. It's assumed through supernatural means. He somehow manages to escape, and there's some sort of, it's implied, if I remember right, that Nathan, your character, because he had been interfering with the process that the cult must go through in order to claim the blood sacrifice, you are somehow removed from the picture. And
I think the way we wrote it was he was getting too close.
Right.
So essentially what we were doing with this, if I recall, was it was a group of people who wanted to bring about the end.
And they needed some sort of blood sacrifice from my part, which that section of the story probably could have been hammered out a little better.
Yeah, because I think the original concept, like, because I think I started sort of that side of it, was
right.
It was the idea that throughout history there were certain events, if you will, that would happen, and over the time of these events, basically trace back to these end seekers who would bring about massive change in some aspects, whether that was political, economical, socio, whatever. But throughout time, it was just these end seekers would randomly show up. I know we didn't dive a whole bunch into that. That might have been, like I said, there was numerous things that doesn't have to deal with it. We're just gonna press through.
Yeah, I think we kind of,
that was the idea.
We kind of leaned heavily on the found footage idea of not every little thing has to be explained, because that's the point, is that we're only seeing a sliver of reality because of the format of the show.
Mm-hmm. You're seeing it's very Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
Eyes
you're supposed to very first person storytelling.
Like, I think there was I think 6 actually was like the whole that was the only backstory we did, was like that.
We got a little into the lore there. I mean, the lore is given away in bits and pieces here and there. The drop videos, I think we did 3. Zach's video, alwayswatching.mov, in the box, I think were 3 that got a little into the lore a little bit.
Yeah, and a lot of it too is just, I think too, it was almost like we were trying to fit a puzzle where we ourselves didn't even know.
We had started building a puzzle before we had finished printing the other end of the puzzle, for sure.
Yeah, I think part of it too is like the way we were writing, which wasn't a bad way to write, but we were very much writing front to back instead of maybe like side to side.
It was video jazz.
It really was. Yeah, it was.
For lack of a better word.
Very much impromptu jazz.
Because I don't think at any given point I think we had a general roadmap of things we wanted to do for the next 5 or 6 videos, but we never wrote out a solid plan for any further than like 3 videos out.
Yeah, because I think really what it was is we wanted. I think that this might have been sort of like a you and me issue, was we were so much invested in the effect portion.
Yes.
The writing portion got thrown out the window.
A little bit.
Because there was if we went back and watched it, I'm sure the one thing we would say, damn, that was good, is like all the effects we did. Like the way the effects were done and how you wanted it done was so far and away like right up there, whatever we were going for.
I mean, even now I'm looking at the page, and the most popular video is the first video, which, you know, was kind of the groundwork introduction video, which makes sense. But then it's followed immediately by 2 of our effects heavy videos, which also makes sense because those are the ones that, in my opinion, were the most interesting just to watch.
Yeah, Zach's video.
I've noticed some of these say they're closed captioning, and I'm wondering what that means. Because I do not remember adding any sort of closed captioning to these.
I'm intrigued.
And I don't see an option for closed captioning, which is also very interesting.
Might have just been one of those weird like algorithm things.
It added it to it.
I don't even. Do we even remember? Like, God, everything about this just screams like we were way like.
I mean, I'm watching the alwayswatching.mov, and I definitely remember there's definitely different methods I would have used now going into it to get the effects that I was going for.
Mm-hmm.
But for the style of video I was going for, I'm really not displeased with how it turned out. There's some stuff, especially in it's something that I saw in reviews of the video of how some of the effects were. It was obvious like which plugins I was using, so that's something that I would probably make sure not to do on a second rework. Like the old like some of the now that I've grown as a professional in the industry, I now know that you're not supposed to do film artifacts on video because those would never appear like that. There's a lot of just naivety that went into it of not understanding that having a lot of dirt, film dirt, doesn't make sense when it's implied that you recorded this on a video camera.
Yeah.
Scratch lines don't appear in video. It's just the way that it works. A lot of these things that I just kind of recognize as looking spooky and not really understanding the technical side of them.
Yeah, no, and for sure is I'm no writer by stretch of the imagination, but I will say without a shadow of a doubt I could probably outright myself now. Like if I saw this story, I could easily be like, oh, here's how we're gonna get from point A to point B.
Right. So just so we have the full picture of what happens, my character comes back, and then Nathan's character decides to give me a camera so that I can ultimately kind of document things myself and turn them into him so that he can see. My character's not super into that. It looks like Nathan is not a fan, or my character seems to kind of take over the audio-visual side of things and gets a little more concerned. My character, I never really understood what we were thinking your character was doing, because my character tries to meet up with your character, who I believe through the influence of the Endseekers cult has been convinced that it is my duty to kind of be sacrificed to
I think
the demon.
I think the idea we were going for was like my character was running like the interference, but at the end of the day they're kind of like, yeah, one or the other. But we're just saying if you don't want to go down this road, just put him to the slaughter.
The way I kind of imagine it was
it was very much like the idea was like my character sold you out.
Exactly, yeah. Which was kind of just a quick way to. I do remember kind of reaching a point where it was very like we have to come up with an ending. Because if we keep going, we're going to get closer and closer to this corner that we can't write ourselves out of.
Yeah, I think too there are other things outside of the sphere of influence that were going on. And
sure.
I don't even remember like what the original idea was. I don't think we never left an open ending.
Open ended. I think we had written a rough roadmap of what we would call season 1, and I believe that ran for the first. I want to say 11, up to number 11. So that would be the first one. 5, 10, 11 videos.
If I recall.
No wait, 1, 2, 3, 6, 12, 13.
It was up to. I think it was whenever Nathan left was technically season 1. So 11 was season 1, and 12 onward was season 2, I believe.
That sounds right. No, because 11's when I go missing, and that was kind of our cliffhanger for season 1. Even though there's like, I think just like for us, and then I would say when I came back and your character left, everything post that was season 3. If we had to divide this up into like some sort of season system.
No, I think you're right. And then, like, if I recall completion right, the way we did completion is we left it open-ended because we're like, oh, do we ever want to continue this? And it was very much a strong no.
Yeah, and it's open-ended enough that it lets the audience kind of decide what they think happened. I think it's fairly obvious what happened.
I don't think.
I'm still amazed that YouTube is not taking down this blatant copyright infringement of Ella Fitzgerald.
I also think. Well, okay, look. 168 views. I don't think anyone's gonna care.
I
Although
mean,
YouTube flagged, although I will say this, YouTube flagged one of my videos because of audio playing, and it didn't say who flagged it. It just said it wasn't allowed to play in Brazil.
interesting. No, I've definitely gotten things like that.
And I don't.
I mean, I'm watching Completion right now, and to be honest, it's definitely, I think, a more polished version of what I was going for originally. I think having that kind of knowledge of what I wanted, getting to kind of work with it, I think kind of helped. I'm amazed that this is 480p. I could have swore that we had done at least 720.
Is it really only 40?
It's 480p, yeah. Believe it or not.
Wow. Someone didn't hit the button.
Well, I mean, I didn't know what I was. I think we edited this in iMovie or Final Cut. No, what it was Final Cut Express 4.
Yeah, and that was awful.
Let me see. Final Cut Express.
I was saying, wait, well, hold on. 2013. It might not even be able to export at that high of quality yet. Like, I don't think YouTube even went up to that high.
In 2013, they were in HD, for sure.
Maybe.
Yeah, 100%. For reference, Final Cut Express 4, which was that was our step up from iMovie. That software was released in 2008.
I'm just scrolling through it. I don't even remember what we were referencing.
With what?
Was completion? Was completion supposed to be?
That was the kind of like I think that was Nathan's. Nathan was likely instructed to upload that as a message to anybody else who wanted to sort of follow the cult. Okay. Kind of just to be like a thing of we're going to win every time. It's a very bleak ending if you think about it.
Well, yeah, I don't even know what we were. Yeah.
Although I mean, some of it's fairly creepy. I don't think it's bad.
I don't think it's bad. I think
I think
it's hard to go. I think it's hard to look at something like this in the idea of what it was trying to be, what it was, what it is, and then being like, they're like, I don't think they were necessarily bad. It was all bad. It was all good.
Right.
I think there are definite like peaks and valleys with it.
Sure. Yeah, I'm noticing some things that could kind of be. I mean, I'm happy that I did it for sure.
Yeah, I think ultimately.
Oh, I think this is probably what we're looking. The description for the video for completion. The only thing that writes is this collection is complete. You could make the argument that perhaps Nathan was part of this from the beginning, but then that doesn't make sense why he would record it. I have a feeling the fact that
if that was the case, I did know that and I wrote it.
I have a feeling that probably what happened was that Nathan had been instructed by the cult either through brainwashing or just straight up being convinced that this was the correct thing to happen. That they needed to quote unquote collect my blood sacrifice, whatever you want to call it.
I think if we had to continue it, we would have explored it more.
I don't know where we would continue it though.
I don't even know either.
Because your character had betrayed me and had no real motivation for not. Unless the only thing I could think of was maybe that the cult was attempting to completely silence you, and then you were recording that end. But then where would my character come back? Except maybe as a brainwashed cult member is the only thing I can think of, which might be what they were attempting to do when I originally went missing in number 11 and then came back from number 14.
That could have been it. I don't remember. I think the idea. I think originally the idea was it was supposed to be on like a sort of metaphysical versus mental.
Yeah.
My side was supposed to be the physical side. Your side was the mental side, and together it all kind of like together.
Right. Yeah. This is all kind of ringing a bell. It looks like, at least at the very least, 96 people enjoyed the work we did, and that's enough for me. That's a small feeder.
Yeah, I mean, it got a review somewhere, so.
And let me see. Our least popular video had 49 views, which tells me that at least 49 people, watched the entire thing.
There you go.
Which is kind of neat to think about all these years later. And that, I mean, I remember when we were doing it, I feel like when we ended, we were somewhere in the 60s in subscribers.
And now we're almost to 100.
And now it's getting close. So it's interesting that people are still finding it. I'd be interested to, I wonder if there's like a way without having to sign in to see like the history, like the view history over time.
Dude, nothing would please me more than logging into that and seeing
I wonder, oh boy.
the analytics.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get to that real quick. Sign in. God, I do not even remember what account this was under.
How would I know?
Use another account. Let me think. What was my email that I was using at the time? I'm going to just try my old email, see if I can get in. Nope, that's not the password. Oh, shit.
You got in?
Oh my god, they sent a verification code to my old email, so now one moment as I try to remember what my old email password is. Let me see. Maybe it's still next. Is it?
He never logged out.
7490012. That's all correct. I am not seeing an email regarding YouTube, but it's possible it just hasn't come through yet. Man, I'm still getting constant emails from a lot of shitty websites.
There you go.
Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O, where is the, I have to tell it to send it to me. That would probably help. I just read the word verification code and went, okay, where is it? And when I actually read it, it said, please, would you like us to send you one? And if this is not the device isn't recognized for your security, Google wants to make sure it's really you. Enter a phone number to get a text message. Oh my goodness gracious. Bam. Alright, now I'm going to be getting, let's see, 997282.
This is the most intense heart to end a podcast I've had in a while.
That's fine. Let's see. There's that. And then let me see, switch account. No, that's not the correct, I think it's an actual account called Holloway Project.
I think it might. Well, that was back then before it was all like clumped together.
But yeah, I went to my old thing and it's just there's nothing here for Holloway Project, unfortunately.
Well, that's a bummer.
Oh boy. What was?
I mean, it's not that big of an issue.
Yeah, I know. It would be interesting to see.
Bug you now.
Yeah, now I'm just like, oh, can I even get into my old account? I'm sure there's a way to find it. I'm seeing like a bunch of videos of like very related to what I was into at the time. See, what was in my liked videos at the time?
I don't know.
Oh man, I'm going way, way back. Yeah, I'm vaguely remembering a lot of these videos. Oof.
A lot of Del Taco Super Secret short show.
Those aren't even up anymore.
Well, all that being said, do you want to plug anything else before we go?
Yeah, I'm, well, do you want to keep talking about, Holloway? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't really...
We've been going for over 2 hours.
That's true. That's a good point, too. I don't know if I really have much more to say.
Do you want to plug anything?
Sure. You can check out the, I'm recently joined me and a buddy of mine, you'll know, Jared Lomelli. I've recently started a YouTube channel together for comedy called Mom's Boyfriend, where we are primarily doing movie reviews about movies we haven't seen, but we're also going to be delving into some other content pretty soon. Check that out. It's fun. It's a good time.
Your boy will... I've been promised I will be on there at some point. So
we'll get you in there somewhere, I'm sure.
You'll get a Spects introduction in there at some point. We all work together. We did. You know what's funny? And I know we're wrapping this up, but there's we didn't bring up the old comedy stuff, and I'm kind of glad we didn't.
Oh, like Hodgepodge?
Hodgepodge.
Awesome at the Sax.
You know what? I loved Awesome at the Sax, and I hated Hodgepodge.
That's fair. That's a fair. That's a fair. Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
Like, I mean, I know Awesome at the Sax. That my favorite. I'll leave it on this note. But my favorite Awesome at the Sax one was the Anthrax one, by far.
Yeah,
the funniest thing.
I mean,
that was, I think, our peak comedy. Like everything else, I thought was kind of low, but I'm like, that one was like it hit the spot.
it's definitely, we just got older and kind of understood how things worked a little better. And I mean, I think we've all grown a lot and are better at what we do overall. And yeah, it's a good thing. It's a nice little way to look back and see the milestones of where we've been and appreciate where we are now. And I think that's great.
Yeah. So check out our boy Taylor. I don't know if he goes by his Utopia thing.
Nah, that's mostly for personal real stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and Mom's Boyfriend. If you want to check it out, we're trying to do some fun stuff there.
I watched it. Let me tell you, I watched the One for Soul. So I don't know if you explained this, but so they review movies that they have. Do I ruin the premise?
No, it's we're watching movies we have not seen. That's our selling point, not the. That's definitely not a spoiler.
And the joke is they're convincing people that they've watched, they got to see like early access to it, and all they're doing is base it on the trailer.
We're completely making things up about the film and reviewing what we're making up as the film.
Although I will admit, I'm only using the One for Soul as a reference, but I love the fact that I think you said the point of like, I thought it was going to be a reverse Ratatouille, like he goes into the sewer and learns how to be a rat.
He learns rat jazz, I believe, is the
That's what it was. And to be fair, you weren't so far off.
I wasn't incredibly off.
It would have been a way different film.
We recently reviewed Tom and Jerry, which was also a good time. We talk about how a large portion of the budget went to removing the constantly visual genitalia of the two title characters.
Why am I laughing so hard? I hate it.
Because doesn't it feel like something that would happen?
No, I mean, after what we opened this with the desexified Lola Bunny, yes, 100%. All right. So check that out, Mom's Basement. The link will be in the description.
Mom's Boyfriend.
Mom's Boyfriend. I'm sorry. When I said Mom's Basement.
You said Mom's Basement, which also isn't a bad name.
I think that's Keemstar's podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, don't go there.
Mom's Boyfriend. It's going to be down below. Like I said, they're two great guys. I've known them for a decade at this point. They're really funny, really witty. Like I said, I will be on there eventually. Maybe I'll review. I don't know, I could review. I'll be there. I don't know. We'll figure something out. I would love to have both of you on because I think having him on here and discussing the stupid crap we did in the name of comedy would be really, really fun.
Yeah, he might be interested. I can talk to him about it.
It's like, hey, it's been a few years. No, it was a good time. We got to do this again.
Yeah,
and I'll actually have a cup of coffee now.
I was surprised that your podcast is Coffee with Spects, and you had no coffee.
Because no one else has said, "Oh, what am I drinking? Oh, I'm drinking something." You're the only one to ever mention the fact that you're actually drinking something like the original thing was supposed to be.
Well, maybe that could be the feature. You start with what's your name and what are you drinking?
That was the joke. So behind the curtain, this will be the ending point. The original joke I wanted to do in the description was sort of similar to like Ron Swanson's journal when he talks about the steak and the cigar and the drink he was having.
Right.
I wanted that to be the introduction, like in the description of like, today we're brewing, or we're featuring a light roast from Argentina with slight cherry notes and white chocolate.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Like that's what I wanted to do, and like have it be like made in a French press, like stuff like that. Like the joke is it's bougie, and it's not.
And then somebody, if they're interested, they might be able to say, "Hey, I heard about this coffee on Coffee with Spects podcast. I'm interested in trying it."
Nothing. the entire point of this is I want coffee. Subscribe. I want coffee. If you know someone, if you somehow click on this random ass podcast and your parents own coffee subscription, send it my way. I will drink whatever crappy coffee, great coffee you have in the name of branding and me having the virtual coffee shop. I will do it. I have no dignity at this point.
If you pay Brandon enough, he'll drink whatever you send him.
Within reason.
Nope. Anything.
You're a horrible agent. You are a horrible
Anything. Agent. I'm talking Windex. I'm talking mud.
Mike Stern, Billy Joe, Traco, if any one of them listens to it, if you want to send me some Oakland coffee, I will drink it. Just saying.
I've had the Oakland coffee. It's it's solid.
Have you really?
Yeah, I ordered it from I special ordered it and tried it a while ago. It's a little pricey to keep getting.
The coffee is though.
Yeah.
Your favorite coffee for a few years was $14 a bag.
But it was so good.
Hey, you know what? I'll end it with this. I'm going to shock you. You know she has a kid now, right?
Wow, good for her. I can't believe Erica has a kid.
I hate you. Why'd you jump to Erica?
I just wanted to grab some random name from back then.
Nobody knows someone who's named Erica. We worked with her.
You want to dox her? Where's she live? I'm going to find it.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. So I'm guessing that's the end of the podcast there?
I hate you so much, but that was so good.
Thank you very much.
Oh, good for Erica. I guess the perfect thing in comedic timing would have been me going, "Who the hell is Erica?"
Yeah, it was fun, man. Thanks for having me on. I had a good time.